Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So, today we're going to be taking a look at Imperial Pike Guard. Quite an interesting unit. Just before we get into them though, one thing I just wanted to mention, and I'm going to mention this again probably in the next video, is we've got Twitch drops coming on the 8th of September. So it's like 4 days away or something from this, 3 or 4 days. So I don't really do all that much live streaming, but I'm probably going to have a little bit of a go during the live stream stuff. So do go down and follow me on Twitch so you get a notification when you go live, and you can win basically loads of free stuff. From unit and hero attire to gold and powdered silver and all sorts of stuff like that. So yeah, be sure to go and follow me on Twitch. So Imperial Pikemen. Yeah, a really interesting unit. One of the oldest units I've had elited. Had these guys elited for quite a long time now. And is a really interesting unit because of its game mechanics, which makes it quite a lot different from any other pike unit. Every other pike unit either sort of works around having a charge, so say think prefecture pikemen, something like that, or a brace. Fortebraccios, pike militia, halberdiers and halberdier sergeants. That brace is what gives them the damage. Now in this unit the brace is pretty crap. Okay, it can do a little bit, it doesn't do a great deal, it's not very damaging, and it doesn't have any pushback like, for example, you see on like the pike militia. So it doesn't really make them very effective. But what it's all about is the advance. And the advance, basically, as they move forwards, it basically pushes and knocks down everything in their way. Almost like an unstoppable advance. Bar shield walls now actually do slightly block them, but the advance is one of the most important pushing mechanics in the game. And that's why people say Imperial Pikemen are a very useful unit. And particularly when you get into things like territory wars, they become a critical unit because they allow you to push choke points, etc. In normal sieges, I think they play slightly differently, because your team cohesion is often a little bit less in a random siege, but they are still really important, pushing Fortebraccios, pushing points, and just dealing with stuff that comes up against you. If you get yourself into a bit of a tight spot, whack on the advance, and really, before you know it, everyone else is on the floor, and particularly if you can combine that with your hero and a few allied units as well, then it works quite nicely. So anyway, I've covered these guys in a few videos before. I thought it was just time to make a revisit, just because, I don't know, I fancied taking them out for a spin, really, since they've sort of been gathering a bit of dust in the barracks. So yeah, let's hop into a battle, have a little bit of fun with the Imperial Pikemen, just on a random siege, and see who we can push over and advance into. So, we have just respawned back in. I've just got myself killed on the A point. The enemy team actually did quite a good job of getting in and the breaking in, but I thought, let's try and get back, we might still be able to save this and save the A point. So that's where I'm rushing towards now. And of course, one of the big disadvantages of Imperial Pike Guard is they're very slow. But we come across this unit of spear sergeants, so I start being a little bit aggressive against them. The enemy hero was chasing a guy, so I thought I might be able to grab a few at the back. Unfortunately, I kind of wish I had my Imperial Pike Guard with me at the moment. A few start to turn up, and they're all sort of straggled out. I activate the advance. I'm kind of a bit out of time, really, because, you know, half of them are still up the hill. It's a pretty bad advance, not very well played on my part. I should have grouped up more. But we sort of get away with it, and we're able to kill the enemy hero. And that's kind of what we need to stop him controlling that unit. And then kind of, in combined, I just stick them onto attack mode. I don't bother bracing with them, I'm just using them. I felt there was few enough enemies for it to be worth it, just sort of attacking, you know, in a sort of a little bit of a free-for-all. So that's kind of what we do. And then I'm pulling back, heading back towards the supply. We've already lost the A point at this point. And, you know, as I've just kind of shown, we know how slow these guys are. So I kind of wanted to make sure I could get back. Because, you know, if the enemy are quite quick, they could quite easily rush the bottom supply and then start rushing up towards the C point, while I'm still trying to get back with my my pike guard. So heading back. I know there's the supply point, you know, on the downstairs on the inside of C. Quite a few of them are damaged, so I wanted to kind of get them healing up a little bit as well. So I was kind of pleased. I think it was worth pushing out there. Not amazingly fought against those spear sergeants, to be honest, but still, we managed to get the win, and we used a little bit of an advance. And of course, it's still got that sort of fairly long cooldown, but we've cooled down now, so it's kind of worthwhile using it, even if I didn't execute it particularly smoothly. So now I'm thinking, am I going for B or am I going for C? It's kind of my two options. And immediately I didn't realise they actually did do what I thought they might, and they pushed C quite hard. So I'm thinking, okay, let's sort of keep here on this supply point, see what they do. Put them into brace, and for some reason they turn exactly the entire other way around. So reposition them, keep them in the brace, thinking about what I want to do. And then I noticed we've got friendly cavalry, and I come out, and a lot of them are pushing up the ladders, but there's no heroes there. it takes me a moment to realise. You'll see I'm processing here, and I think, oh, actually, I could attack this lot, go into it, attack it briefly, and then think, wow, there's actually quite a lot here. Let's just advance, and absolutely everything gets butchered. But I hadn't realised. Oh, everything's at the top of the ladder, going for C, and then I realised that okay, in a way that was a good move, but my hesitation and kind of my lack of thinking has meant that actually we're on the risk of losing C here. So I'm now trying to rush to the C point as quickly as I can, because I've been a bit of an idiot. Defended, attacked them at the bottom, didn't realise, of course, that half of them have climbed to the top. But thankfully, the team's on point. We managed to get to C in time. Calling the unit over to me, of course, to try and get here. A little bit slow, you know, obviously they're not the quickest unit, as I've said before, so not very good at responding to situations like this. But they get here eventually, and the rest of the team combined were able to drive them out. Get the Conqueror climbing up the ladder. Of course, the Imperial Pikes deal with them just fine. You'll see the stabs. I think I stand back in a minute, and anything that comes up, they're just stabbing like a pike militia sort of damage. And they work fine in that sort of situation. They easily overwhelm a unit like Conqueror coming up a ladder like that. So, advantage back off cooldown. We've cleared off the C point, and we killed quite a lot of stuff at the bottom. So we actually got quite a few units there. So I was quite pleased with that. And I'm thinking, okay, where to next? And then they're pushing back the supply point on the bottom again. I was kind of annoyed at the time that these spear sergeants were running back up the stairs, because I was thinking, come on, we can actually stop this, but I need help. But he realises, he readjusts his position, and he comes back. So I have to avoid the initial enemy pike advance. I'm waiting till I think it's about to end, and then it does. They say that it's over, and then my advance is on the way in. They don't do huge amounts of damage, these Imperial Pike Guard. That's not really what they're about. It's more the knockback and knockdown they cause. That's what's really important. Although we rack up a good few kills there, Embrace. And then I feel we've killed enough that we can just go into sort of free mode. And I basically advance them forwards and put them on the attack. And they just sort of free stab everything that comes towards me. Kill those musket units. And good, we've pushed back the enemy attack. So yes, it's not really about the damage with these guys. Yes, okay, they can do quite a chunk of damage with their advance, but that's not really what makes the advance good. It's what makes the advance good is the knockdown, and that means you can really push a position, particularly if you're using your hero to get damage in as well on all the knockdown units, and particularly if you have allied support there with, you know, extra units like those spear sergeants or some Conqueror, something like that, then they just absolutely destroy the enemy. So by the time we dealt with that and healed up, I think I would have struggled to get to B on time, which is kind of why I didn't do it. And then you're kind of thinking, what do you do? Well, first I was just dealing with these enemy heroes pushing up here. I was a little conscious about getting trebbed, which is why I'm sort of panning around and trying to look behind me to make sure we're not going to get the unit completely eliminated. So then we can either defend the C point or pull back to base. Because obviously having lost B, it means that C is probably going to be lost because the enemy will put focus on it, and you know, we're only going to have a small proportion of the team there, so it's going to be fairly hard for us to realistically defend it. But that, of course, doesn't mean that we can't delay them or hold them off for a while. So I'm sort of umming and ahhing about what to do. I get caught into a real moment of hesitation, which I'm sort of quite guilty of doing quite a lot. But I noticed some enemies actually coming from the base direction towards C, which I kind of wasn't expecting. But I thought, oh well, that at least gives me something to do. It gives me a little bit of a focus. So we just start to advance up. I didn't know if they were going to be Pike Guard of their own. Advance a little early there, I think, if I'm honest. But we get in and just slaughter the Pike Militia. I mean, they just get cut down by the advance. They're a light enough unit that the damage is quite high. And yeah, they didn't stand much of a chance. And then I get caught in one of my real moments of hesitation again. Definitely one of the things I really need to try and stop doing in this game, and one of my biggest weaknesses is just this. I'm never quite sure which way to do. You know, there's still a few people on the C point, and I don't want some of our team just to get killed for no real reason without being able to fight back for me not being there to help. But then they start to get trebbed and the damage starts to rack up. And I also noticed there's quite a few enemies pushing towards the base point, so I was a bit nervous about that. And then you can see I'm thinking, okay, I'm going C. And then I'm thinking, oh, then again, perhaps it's not a lot of point. There's not a lot there. Quite a few of the teams pulling out. And then I eventually come to the conclusion, okay, screw it. C's lost. Let's just focus on the base point. I'm not sure it was the right decision. Maybe I should have been there. But hey-ho, that was what we came to in the end. So I pull on the inside here and just stick them in brace so they don't wander off. And I was thinking, well, quite a bit of the enemy team ended up going to C, and they're now capturing C. From that position there, they're more than likely to push around this section of the wall and up into this tower here, rather than going back onto the ground and round to the front. So thinking, right, okay, well, we'll wait here and we'll try and defend this tower. because here they come already. They're already on the way, kind of as predicted. And yeah, I thought, let's stop this push then, or let's at least attempt to stop this push, because it didn't seem like the enemy were pushing too hard frontally, and this seemed to be their main focus of their attack. So we're kind of waiting now, waiting to see what happens. It's actually a unit of Fortebraccios. Okay, slightly concerning, but we can actually deal with that. It's kind of hard to know when to push here, and I was, again, hesitating. And they started to push in enough, I felt that, right, okay, let's go. So I push it through myself, trying in the doorway. Don't get the greatest angle, but we get the bulk of the unit through the door. And I throw myself in as my hero to try and get the extra damage in, particularly against the Fortebraccios. And we do. We also get the hero kill, but we actually get pelted by a crap ton of enemy range. There's really a lot out there, more out there aiming at that doorway than I thought there was going to be. So we pull ourselves back in, actually get this short sword. I'm not quite sure where he came from. I didn't mean to knock him down this staircase, because he just disappeared. I wondered where he'd gone. And thankfully there happened to be a friendly dual blades at the bottom who managed to sort of lock him in position, and then a bit unfortunate for him really. So yeah, so I think that kind of went fairly well. We managed to kill all the basically the Fortebraccios that pushed in, which kind of is a good thing. Shows that Imperial Pike Guard can quite easily beat Fortebraccios in a one-on-one fight. Was a little bit caught out by how much enemy range there was aiming at that doorway, and that really cost me. Imperial Pike Guards, even though they've got reasonable armour, they're pretty vulnerable to range in that sort of situation with no field, or even no shields. And yeah, that really concludes my video on them. They are quite a nice unit, certainly a very good unit in territory wars, and quite a decent unit in sieges. Certainly very nice for their push. I mean, there's really not a lot that can stand against it other than shield units. And yeah, don't really see that many of them in pitch battles. They're a real point pusher, and they're a real unit that's going to sort of win you the game. But anyway, that's all I've got time for. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Certainly a game filled with quite a few mistakes, but was quite a fun one-on-one I certainly quite enjoyed. So hopefully you enjoyed it too. Thank you for watching, guys, and I shall see you all on the next video.